hold the food as the stomach digests it. The arrangement by which our food is digested is much less simpler than this. Let us study the different parts of the wonderful work it does. We have the digestive tube. The most important part of the work of digesting our food is done in a long tube within the body called the digestive tube or the canal. This tube is 25 to 30 feet long in a fully grown man, and it can also coil up and fold away that it occupies a very small little space. It begins at the mouth and it ends at the lower part of the trunk. The greater part of it is coiled up in the abdomen. The mouth. The space between the upper and lower jaw is called the mouth, this part. The lips form the front part and the cheek the sides. At the back are 3 openings. The upper leads to the nose. There are 2 lower openings. One of these leads to the stomach and the other leads to the lungs. The back part of the mouth joins the 2 tubes which leads from the mouth to the lungs and the stomach, and it's called the throat. The mouth contains the mouth and the teeth. The teeth, the first teeth, those which come when we are small children, are called temporary or our milk teeth. We lose these teeth as the jaw gets larger and the second or the permanent teeth takes place. There are 20 teeth in the first set and there's 32 in the second set. Very old persons sometimes have 3 sets. Then we have the salivary glands. There are 3 pairs of salivary glands. The first, they form a fluid called the saliva. It is this fluid which always moistens the mouth. When we eat or taste something which we like, the salivary glands make so much saliva that we sometimes say the mouth waters. One pair of the salivary glands is at the back part of our lower jaw and in the front of the ears. The other 2 pairs of glands are placed on the upper side of the mouth. The saliva produced by the salivary glands is sent into the mouth through little tubes called ducts. Then we have the gullet. At the back part of the throat begins a narrow tube that passes down into the stomach. This tube is about 9 inches long, and it is called the gullet, the food pipe, or the esophagus. Then we get to the stomach. At the lower end of the esophagus, the digestive tube becomes enlarged and has a shape somewhat like a pear. This is the stomach. In a fully grown person, the stomach is sufficiently large to hold about 3 pints. At each end of the stomach is a narrow opening, so arranged that it can be open or tightly closed as may be necessary. The upper opening allows the food to pass into the stomach, and the lower one allows it to pass into the intestines. This opening is called the pylorus, or the gatekeeper, because it closes to keep the food in the stomach until it's ready to pass out. In the membrane which lines the stomach, there are many little pockets, like glands, in which a fluid called the gastric juice is formed. This fluid is one of the most important of all the fluids formed in the digestive canal. In the intestines, at the lower end of the stomach, the digestive canal becomes narrow again. The narrow portion called the intestine is about 25 feet long in a grown person. The last few feet of the intestines is larger than the rest and is called the colon. This long tube is coiled up and snugly packed away in the cavity of the abdomen. In the membrane lining, the intestines are also found little glands which make the fluid called intestinal juices. And of course, the liver, the pancreas, and the gallbladder are considered accessory digestive organs, but their roles in digestive systems are vital. The liver. The liver is the largest gland in the body, weighing about 3 pounds in an adult. It is also one of the most important organs. In addition to being an accessory digestive organ, it plays a number of roles in metabolism and regulation. The liver lies inferior to the diaphragm in the right upper quadrant of the abdomen cavity and receives protection from surrounding ribs. The chief business of the liver is to make a fluid called bile, which is very necessary for the digestion of our food. The bile is a bitter fluid of a golden brown color. It is carried to the intestine by means of a little tube or ducts, which enters the small intestine a few inches below the stomach. When the bile is made faster than it's needed for immediate use, it is stored up in a little pear-shaped sac called the gallbladder, which hangs from the upper side of the liver. The liver is a very wonderful organ and does many useful things besides making bile. It aids in various ways in digesting the food and helps to keep the blood pure by removing from it harmful substances which are formed within the body. The gallbladder. It is 8 to 10 centimeters or 3 to 4 inches long and is nested in a shallow area on the posterior aspect of the right lobe of the liver. If you can see it over there, where the gallbladder is. Let me see if I can do that. Right. It's underneath, right. Oh. Right here. That's the gallbladder. That's the spleen, the pancreas, and the liver. So it's all tucked in there. Oh, we're going the wrong direction. So the gallbladder, so the muscle, this muscular sac stores concentrated and when stimulated, propels the bile into the duodenum via the common bile duct. It is divided into 3 regions. The fundus is the widest portion and tapers medially into the body, which turns narrow to become the neck. The neck angles slightly superior and it approaches the hepatic duct. The cystic duct is 1 to 2 centimeters, less than an inch long, and turns inferiorly as it bridges the neck and the hepatic duct. The gallbladder stores concentrated bile and releases it into 2-way cystic duct when it is needed by the small intestines. The pancreas is another large and very important gland, which is found close to the stomach, lying just behind it in the abdominal cavity. And the pancreas has a head, a body, and a tail. It delivers pancreatic juice to the abdomen through the pancreatic duct. The pancreas produces over a liter of pancreatic juice each day. Unlike the bile, it is clear and composed mostly of water, along with some salts, sodium bicarbonate, and several digestive enzymes. Sodium bicarbonate is responsible for the slight alkalinity of the pancreatic juice, which making it the pH 7.1 to 8.2, which serve as a buffer. The gastric acid juice is which serve to buffer the gastric acid juices in the chyme, inactivated pepsin from the stomach, and creates an optimal environment for the activity of pH sensitivity, digestive enzymes in the small intestines. Pancreatic enzymes are active in digestion of the sugars, protein, and fats. Usually, the pancreatic secretes just enough bicarbonate to counterbalance the amount of HCl produced in the stomach. Oxygen, hydrogen, ions enter the blood with bicarbonate is secreted by the pancreas. Thus, the acidic blood draining from the pancreatic neutralizes the alkaline blood draining from the stomach, making the pH of the venous blood that flows to the liver. The spleen, close to the pancreas, at the left side of the body, is a dark, roundish organ about the size of the fist called the spleen. It is not known that the spleen has much to do with the work of digestion, but it is so closely connected with the digestive organs that we need to know about it. How a mouthful of food is digested? It first is masticated, that it is chewed and moistened with saliva. Then it is swallowed, passing through the esophagus to the stomach. There it's acted upon and a part of it digested by the gastric juice. It is then passed to the small intestines where it is acted upon by the bile and the pancreatic fluid and the intestinal juice. The digestive food is then absorbed by the walls of the stomach and the intestines. The greater portion of the food is next passed through the liver, where hurtful substances are removed. A smaller portion is carried through the thoracic duct and emptied into the vein near the heart. So you see how wonderfully God has made our bodies to through our digestive system part alone. You can see the type of work that he has put into it. Bad eating habits. Bad habits in eating. 1, eating too fast. A most common fault is eating too fast. When the food is chewed too rapidly and swallowed too quickly, it is not properly divided and softened. Such food cannot be easily acted upon by the various digestive juices. Eating too much. A person who eats food too rapidly is always very likely to injure himself by eating too much. See? That's eating too much. The digestive organs can do well only a certain amount of food, for a certain amount of work. When too much food is eaten, none of it is digested as well as it should be. Food which is not well digested will not nourish the body. Eating too often. Many children make themselves sick by eating too often. It is very harmful to take lunches or to eat at other time in proper meal times. The stomach needs time to rest, just as our legs and our arms and other parts of our body do. For the same reason, it is well for us to avoid eating late at night. The stomach needs to sleep with the rest of the body. If one goes to bed with a stomach full of food, the stomach cannot rest. And the work of digestion will go on so slowly that the sleep will likely be disturbed. Such sleep is not refreshing. If we wish to keep our digestive organs in good order, we must take care to eat at regular hours. We ought not to eat when we are very tired. The stomach cannot digest when we are very fatigued. Sweet foods. We ought not to eat too much sugar or sweets, as they are likely to sour or ferment in the stomach and to make us sick. And I have to smile at that because I love sweets. Candies often contains a great many things which are not good for us and which will make us sick. The colors used in candies are sometimes poisonous. And that's a picture of food that we should avoid. The flavor used in them are also sometimes very harmful. Fatty foods hurtful. Too much butter, fatty meats, and other greasy foods are hurtful. Cream is the most digestible form of fat because it's readily dissolved into the fluids of the stomach and mixes with other foods without preventing their digestion. Melted fats are especially harmful. Cheese, fried foods, and rich pastry are very poor foods and likely a cause of sickness. Eating too many kinds of food. Children should avoid eating freely of fleshy meats. They ought also to avoid eating all highly seasoned dishes and taking too many kinds of food at one meal. A simple diet is much more helpful. Milk and grain foods as oatmeal, cracked wheats, graham bread, with such delicious fruits as apples, pears, and grapes are much the best food for children. Avoid use of cold foods. We ought not to take very cold foods or liquid with our meals. Cold foods like ice water and other ice drinks make the stomach so cold that it cannot digest the food. For this reason, it is very harmful to drink ice water or iced tea or eat ice cream at meals. These things are injurious to us at any time, but they do the greatest amount of harm when taken with food. Things sometimes eaten which are not foods. These which are not foods are often used as food, such as mustard, pepper, and various kinds of seasoning. Soda, salsas, and baking powders are also belongs to this class. All these substances are harmful, particularly mustard, pepper, and hot sauce. Common salt, the only apparent exception to the general rule that all condiments and other substances which are not foods are harmful, is in the case of common salt. This is very commonly used among civilized nations, although there are many barbarous tribes that never taste it. It is quite certain that much more salt is used than is needed. When much salt is added to the food, the action of the digestive fluids are greatly injured. Salt meat and other foods which have much salt added to them are hard to digest because the salt hardens the fiber of the meat, so they are not easily dissolved by the intestinal fluids. So meat, which we are not supposed to eat, they use a lot of salt in that, and it hardens it, and it makes it hard for our stomach to digest. So our vegan diet, our nuts, grains, vegetables, which the Lord has given us to use, is the best kind of food. Care of our teeth. The teeth are the first organs employed in the work of digestion. It is of great importance that they should be kept in health. Many persons neglect their teeth and treat them as so badly that they begin to decay at very early age. The mouth and the teeth should be carefully cleansed immediately or rinsing in the morning and after each meal. All particles of food should be removed from between the teeth by carefully rubbing both the inner and outer surface of the teeth with a soft brush and rinsing very thoroughly with water. A soap may be used in cleaning the teeth, but clear water is sufficient. If used frequently and thoroughly. The teeth should not be used in breaking nuts or other hard substances. And I've known people who have broken their tooth from biting on bone and biting on nuts, nut shells and stuff like that. So your teeth is not made to do that. The teeth are brittle and are often broken in this way. The use of candy and too much sweet foods is also likely to injure your teeth. Some people think that it is not necessary to take care of the first set of teeth. This is a great mistake. If the first set are lost or are unhealthy, the second set will not be as perfect as it should be. We should not neglect our teeth at any time of our life. Tobacco. When a person first uses tobacco, it is apt to make him very sick at the stomach. After he has used it for a few times, it does not make him sick, but it continues to do his stomach and other organs harm. And after a time, many injure himself very seriously. Smokers sometimes suffer from horrible disease of the mouth or throat known as cancer. The effect of alcohol upon our stomach: if you should put a little alcohol in your eye, the eye will become very red. And when men take strong liquor into their stomach, the delicate membrane lining the stomach becomes red in the same way. Perhaps you should ask, how do we know that the alcohol has such an effect on our stomach? More than 60 years ago, living in Michigan, a man named Alex St. Martin, one day he was by accident shot in such a way that a large opening was made right through the skin and the flesh and into his stomach. The good doctor who attended took such excellent care of him that he got well. But when he recovered, the hole in his stomach remained. So the doctor could look in and see just what was going on. St. Martin sometimes drank whiskey, and when he did this, the doctor would look into his stomach to see what effects was. And he noticed that the inside of his stomach looked very red and inflamed. If St. Martin continued to drink whiskey for several days, the lining of the stomach looked very red and raw, like a sore eye. A sore stomach cannot digest food well. And so the whole body becomes sick and weak. What would you think of a man who should keep his eyes always sore and inflamed and finally restore his eyesight by putting pepper or alcohol or some other irritating substance in them every day? Is it not equally foolish and wicked to injure the stomach and destroys one's digestion using alcoholic drinks? Alcohol, even when it is not very strong, not only hurts the lining of the stomach, but injures the gastric juices so that it cannot digest food well. The effects upon the liver. The liver, as well as the stomach, is greatly damaged using alcohol. You will recall that nearly all food digested and absorbed is filtered through the liver before it goes to the heart and distributed to the rest of the body. In trying to save the rest of the body from bad effects of alcohol, the liver is badly burned by fiery liquid and sometimes becomes so shriveled up that it cannot no longer produce bile and perform its other duties. Even beer, ale, and wine, which do not contain so much alcohol as do rum, gin, and whiskey, have even enough of the poison in them to do the liver a great deal of harm and injury, and to injure many other parts of our body as well. And you can see some people do a lot of drinking, have cirrhosis of the liver from drinking too much alcohol. And now we're going to go to our healthy food, what God wants us to have. Our healthy food habits. Many of us have ingrained patterns in our diet. Some are healthy. I always eat fruits for dessert, and some are not so healthy. I always treat myself to a sweet drink after work. It's never too late to change your eating habits, even if you have been following the same one for a while. Your wellness and your chance of developing a specific disease can be impacted by the food you eat. You might need to alter some of your everyday routines to eat proper food. You might also need to make some changes to your surroundings. Your surroundings, such as your house or workplace, are the part of your environment. To eat healthier, you shouldn't have to make many adjustments. Additionally, you are not required to alter all of your behavior at once. The best course of action is to start small and gradually alter your habits. Small adjustments over time might have a significant impact on your health. Eating healthy doesn't have to be difficult. You are not alone if you feel overloaded by the contradicting nutrition and diet recommendations available. It appears that for every expert who says a particular cuisine is healthy, there are two more who suggest exact opposites. Although some foods or minerals have been found to have a positive impact on moods, your entire dietary pattern is what matters most. Real food should always be preferred over processed food as a foundation of a balanced diet. Eating a meal that is close to how nature intended it can have a profound impact on how we feel, look, and think. Nutrition plays a pivotal role in our overall well-being. It's not just about satisfying our taste bud. It's about providing our bodies with the essential nutrients required for growth, energy, and disease prevention. Energy boost. Balanced diet nutrition ensures you have a steady supply of energy throughout the day. Carbohydrates, fats, and proteins are the micronutrients that fluid our body. A well-rounded diet that includes whole grains, plant-based proteins, and healthy fats can help you stay energized and focused. Weight management. Maintaining a healthy weight is crucial for preventing chronic diseases like heart disease, diabetes, and certain cancers. A balanced diet helps you to manage your weight by providing the right amount of calories and nutrients without excess. Strong immunity. Your immune system relies on vitamins, minerals, and oxidants to function properly. A diet rich in fruits, vegetables, and whole foods can bolster your immune system and reduce the risk of infection. Or mental health. Nutrition also affects your mental well-being. Omega-3 fatty acids like walnuts, flax seeds can help reduce depression and anxiety. Antitoxins in berries and leafy greens protects the brain cells from oxidative stress. gut health. A balanced diet promotes a healthy microbiome environment, which is essential for digestion and nutrient absorption. Incorporate fiber-rich foods like beans, whole grains, and vegetables to support a diverse gut microbiota, which is organisms such as bacteria and virus, fungus. Your heart health. A diet low in saturated fats and high in fiber can lower cholesterol levels and reduce risk of heart disease such as avocado, nuts, olive oil provides heart healthy monosaturated fats. Our bone health. Calcium and vitamin D are vital for strong bones. Incorporate leafy greens, fortified foods into your diet to maintain healthy bone and prevent osteoporosis. Hydration. Proper hydration includes staying hydrated. Water is essential for digestion, regulating the body temperature, and transporting nutrients. Aim for at least 8 glasses of water per day. Longevity. A balanced diet can contribute to a longer, healthier life by reducing the risk of chronic diseases and promoting overall wellness. You increase your chances of enjoying a high quality of life in your golden years. Customization. Remember that nutrition isn't one size fits all. Your age, gender, activity level, and individual health needs will determine your ideal diet. Consult with a registered dietitian or for personalized guidance. In conclusion, balanced nutrition is the cornerstone of healthy life. It empowers you to live with vitality, protects you against diseases, and enjoy a higher quality of life. And this is just another picture of healthy foods. You have your beans, pumpkin, look like some nuts, avocado, cucumbers, leafy greens, right? I don't know what that other one looked like. Yeah. But that's what your diet should entail. Take a moment to assess your current eating habits and make small, sustainable changes to ensure you're providing your body with the nutrients it deserves. Your body will thank you with improved health and vitality. And this is just some healthy vegans eat, foods healthy vegans eat. They have legumes, beans, lentil, peas, our nutrient-rich plant alternative to animal-derived foods. And they say soaking, fermenting, and proper cooking can increase nutrient absorption. And then you have your nuts, butternuts, and seeds. Nuts, seeds, and their butters are nutritious. Versatile foods rich in protein and nutrients. They can be good addition to your pantry. You have hemp, flax, and chia seeds. The seeds of the hemp and chia and flax are richer in protein and ALA than most other seeds. Flax seeds and chia seeds are almost great substitute for eggs in recipes. Tofu and other minimally processed meat substitutes. Many minimally processed meat alternatives, such as tofu, tempeh, and I don't know which one that one is. Satan. 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 Are versatile nutrient-rich additions to vegan diet. Try to add your Try to limit your consumption of heavily processed vegan mock meats. Calcium fortified milk, plant milk, and yogurts. Plant milks and yogurts fortified with calcium, vitamin D, and vitamin B12 are good alternative to products made with cow's milk. Seaweed. Seaweed is a protein-rich source of essential fatty acids. It's also rich in antioxidants, and some types are rich in iodine. Nutritional yeast. Fortified nutritional yeast is a protein-rich source for vitamin B12. However, non-fortified versions are not as reliable source as the vitamin. Sprouted and fermented plant foods. Sprouting and fermenting foods helps to enhance their nutritional value. Fermenting food also provides vegans with a source of vitamin K2. Whole grain, cereal, and pseudo cereals. Teff, never heard of that. It's an Ethiopian thing. Amaranth and quinoa are flavorful high-protein substitutes for better known grains such as wheat and rice. Sprouted various varieties are best. Protein-rich foods are plants, food such as tofu, cauliflower, broccoli, quinoa are important for the proper functioning of your body. Fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables are very healthy, and some of them can be used as alternative for animal food. And this portion is what I was doing this morning that we didn't have time to finish. So can I go ahead and finish this part? It's 10 minutes to 4. Okay, common GI disease condition and treatment includes constipation. Constipation causes hard to pass or infrequent bowel movements. You may strain and push hard to get your poop out. You can treat your constipation at home by drinking more water, eating more fiber, and over-the-counter laxative can also help. Irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, is where your intestinal muscles contract more often than normal. It causes abdominal pain, gas, bloating are common symptoms. Treating IBS can involve changing your eating habits or taking medicine from that your provider prescribes. Hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids are swollen veins in your anus or rectum. Straining when having a bowel movement is the most common cause, but you can get them other ways too. Avoiding constipation activities that cause straining can help hemorrhoids. Your healthcare provider can also remove large, painful, or persistent hemorrhoids. Diverticular disease. Diverticulosis is when small pouches form in the wall of your large intestines. When they become infected, it's called diverticulitis. This can lead to bleeding and bowel obstruction. Treatment involves eating more fiber and taking antibiotic after your surgery. Colon polyps and colon cancer. Colorectal cancer is one of the most common cancers in the U.S. Colonoscopy screening helps detect this disease sometimes long before the symptoms appears. Almost all colorectal cancer begins as a colon polyp, benign, which means it's non-cancerous, growth in the tissue lining your colon and rectum. Screening for colorectal cancer is important, and early detection of the disease gives you best chance of a cure. Colitis. There are several types of colitis, which are conditions that cause inflammation of the bowels. Colitis can cause diarrhea, rectal bleeding, abdominal cramps, and urgency. Ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease are two common types of colitis. Then you have the celiac disease, which is causes problem in your GI tract when you eat gluten or protein found in wheat and grains. It can cause symptoms like stomach pain, gas, and bloating. It's also considered as an autoimmune condition because your immune system attacks gluten when it's in your small intestines, and the attack causes damage to your intestines enough that it stops working properly. And then you have gastritis. Gastritis is the inflammation of your stomach lining. You may have symptoms like loss of appetite, stomach pain, or nausea. Infection, chemicals, and autoimmune diseases are common causes. Most cases of gastritis improve within a few days with over-the-counter medication or changing the type of food that you're eating. Gastroenteritis is when the inflammation spreads from your stomach into your intestines. It causes pain, vomiting, and diarrhea. It's usually happens when you have a bacterial infection from food poisoning or virus like the stomach flu. You have acid reflux or GERD. It's when the acid from your stomach flows back into your esophagus and throat. It causes a burning feeling that feels like a sore throat. Medication changes or eating habits or surgery are options for the treatment. And I know that my mom, she has this burning in her stomach, in her throat whenever she gets ready to eat. And the doctors went to the doctor and said that it's her gastric fluid coming back up in there and it burns her throat. So now she has that soreness in her throat all the time. She keeps coughing from that. You have lactose intolerance. Lactose intolerance is when your small intestine cannot absorb the lactose and ingredients in milk and dairy products. It causes some symptoms like diarrhea, bloating, and gas. Treatment mainly involves avoiding foods and beverages that contains lactose. You have dyspepsia or indigestion. Indigestion in the stomach is a stomach pain or discomfort after eating. It's very common and typically happens within a few minutes to an hour, few hours after eating or having a meal. You can usually relieve your symptoms with antacid. And then you have the Barrett's esophagus, which changes the appearance of the lining of your esophagus. Sometimes it doesn't cause symptoms, but chronic acid reflux almost always causes it. People with this condition have a higher risk of developing esophageal cancer. And that's the end of my presentation.